I didn't speak to my father for 8 years. Writing that sentence still feels surreal, like I'm describing someone else's life. 8 years of birthdays without calls. 8 years of holidays where his chair was empty because I chose not to go home. 8 years where the silence between us grew so heavy it felt like a third presence in every room I entered. The estrangement didn't happen overnight. At first, it was just small disagreements that stacked on each other like dirty dishes no one wanted to wash. He believed I was wasting my education. I believed he was trying to live through me. Every conversation felt like a court hearing where my choices were always on trial. The last fight was volcanic. I was 27, burned out from a job I hated, but proud I'd found something different, less lucrative, more fulfilling. He called it throwing away my future. I called it saving my sanity. He told me I'd regret my decisions when I was older. I told him maybe I'd regret having him in my life. He shouted, "You'll be sorry when I'm gone." And I shot back, "Maybe that's the point." It was the cruelest thing I've ever said. And it ended everything. After that, there were no more calls. My mother would occasionally try to patch the holes, send me updates, remind me it was his birthday, urge me to reach out, but I ignored her. Pride is an anchor. It keeps you steady, but it also drowns you if you hold it too long. Life went on. I got married. He didn't walk me down the aisle. My wife never met him. When our son was born, my father didn't come to the hospital. I told myself I didn't care, but the truth is, every milestone felt incomplete. Like there was a ghost in the background of every photo. The silence became its own habit. Easier than trying, easier than risking another fight. But every so often, usually late at night, I'd hear his voice in my head, offering advice I pretended I didn't need. When I fixed a leaky faucet, I remembered how he taught me to tighten the valve. When I grilled burgers, I remembered him scolding me for pressing down on the meat and losing the juice. I lived surrounded by echoes of a man I claimed I'd erased. 8 years passed like that. Then one morning, I opened my email and saw a subject line that made my stomach lurch. "Can we try again?" No introduction, no explanation. Just 5 words that cracked open something I thought was sealed. I must have read it 100 times. My hands shook. My first instinct was to delete it, pretend it had never arrived. But the truth is, I'd been waiting for it, even if I didn't admit it. We agreed to meet in a cafe halfway between our cities. Neutral ground. I arrived 20 minutes early, rehearsing a dozen different speeches in my head. When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked smaller, grayer, as if the years had taken something out of him. I realized he must have been thinking the same about me. We didn't hug. We didn't shout. We just sat down with 2 coffees and stared at each other like strangers. Finally, he said, "You look tired." I laughed because I was. That broke the ice. We didn't resolve everything that day. Far from it. He asked about my son, and I showed him pictures. His face softened in a way I hadn't seen since I was a child. I asked about his health, and he admitted he wasn't as strong as he used to be. He didn't apologize for the fight. I didn't apologize either. But we both acknowledged something more important, that we missed each other. The next few months were tentative. Weekly phone calls where conversations stumbled but didn't fall. Visits where we circled heavy topics without touching them. My wife met him for the first time, and to my relief, she saw a gentler side of him. He held my son in his arms and whispered something I couldn't hear. For the first time in years, the silence between us shifted, from a wall into a fragile bridge. I realized something. Reconciliation isn't about erasing the past. It's about choosing the present anyway. My father and I will never undo those 8 years. They'll always be there, empty, a scar in the timeline of our lives. But scars don't mean the wound is still open. They mean it healed, even if imperfectly. One evening, sitting on my porch after he visited, I thought about the last words we'd exchanged before the silence. Maybe that's the point. I wanted to call him right then, to tell him I didn't mean it. Instead, I just picked up my phone and texted, Thanks for today, he replied. Thanks for letting me. That's as close to an apology as we may ever get. And maybe that's okay. We talk once a week now. He still drives me crazy sometimes with his opinions. I'm still defensive about my choices. But now, when I hear his voice, it doesn't sting. It feels like music I almost forgot the tune to. Imperfect, off-key, but familiar. People ask me if I regret the silence. Of course I do. 8 years is too long, too much lost. But I also know that clinging to regret doesn't give me those years back. What I have now is today. And today, my son has a grandfather who shows up. Today, I have a father who may not understand me but is trying again. Estrangement stole years from us. Reconciliation won't give them back. But it gives us this moment. And this moment, fragile and unfinished as it is, feels like a miracle.